looks like this. Marcus Ambrose has pole position, his third pole of the year. Alongside him will be Mark Scaife. Then it's Bright and Todd Kelly. Positions 5 through to 8. Murphy, Tander, Bow and Rick Kelly.
Boys, it's a quality field, isn't it? Craig Lowndes and David Bernard round out the top 10. Brad Jones and Jason Bargwanna will start out at 12.
Then you've got Stephen Richards and Russell Ingall from the Castrol Perkins Commodore team. Seaton, a former winner here, and Larry Perkins in 16th. Mark Larkham in the Orcon Ford will start from 17. Neil Crompton in 18. Cameron McLean 19, and rounding out the top 20 is Paul Wheel.
John Faulkner and Max Wilson lined up. Mighty Max was not able to get some speed out of that car in qualifying, as he usually does. Rodney Forbes in there too. Steve Ellery, Paul Morris, Steve Owen, Cameron McConville, Tony Longhurst, Paul Romano, Anthony Tratt. Now look at this. The Shell team's horror season continues. 32nd and 33rd on the grid with only 3 cars behind them. What is going on at Dick Johnson Racing in 2002? Maybe this man can give you the answer. Paul Radisich, the Rat. And he was just talking to the boys on the radio in qualifying yesterday, saying this car is undrivable. They are all at sea at the moment.
They certainly are, and they probably can't wait to get to our next round at Queensland, even though we haven't got through this one yet, because Radisich and Johnson are the defending champions for the Queensland 500. We'll be on board with 6 cars, 4 cameras on each of these cars. Of course, Greg Murphy in the Kmart Commodore will be on board with him, and also another nice view coming up in the rear of Murph's Kmart car, car number 51, starting from position 5 in the grid. Also, the VB camera on board with Mark Scaife. Always a good ride.
Amazing qualifying performance yesterday by Marcus Ambrose. 0.4 of a second faster than our championship leader, Mark Scaife. That surprised a few people.
24 in-car cameras, including one on the top of Marcus Ambrose's Ford Pertec Racer. You can see it right there, just above the top of the windscreen. Green flag, that means we are ready to go racing here at Winton. A 36 car grid, 18 Fords and 18 Holdens. A little bit of a jump from Marcus Ambrose. We're underway, and it appears, yes, that Mark Scaife has got the jump on Ambrose. He triggered a little bit too early. Through to turn 1 they go. This is where 36 cars have to go into 2 lanes, and already a spin. It seems as though Lowndes has gone off on one side and one of the Valvoline cars has gone off on the other.
Well, Craig Lowndes was warning in the opening part of this telecast that is a dicey part of the track. 3 cars into 2 won't go. It's a funnel. And of all the people, Lowndes got caught out the worst. See the AA Motorsport car getting turned around. Dropped him right to the back of the pack.
Well, what about the start from Marcus Ambrose? He just pulled the trigger a little bit early, and by the time that they got the go-ahead, Scaife had got the jump on him and fired away into turn 1. Turns 1 and 2, the S's. It's the only track aside from Adelaide where we have a chicane to start the first turn. So it's interesting, and already Marcus Ambrose has decided that he's going to take the fight up to Mark Scaife straight away. He's just lost position number 1 from the word go. Now it's time to get it back through the technical part of this circuit, back onto Falcon Straight, which takes him around to turns 11 and 12. And that means that lap 1 of 32 will be done.
It's going to be a fascinating battle, this one. Only 100 kilometres the distance. This place not too hard on tyres, so you can expect everyone to come in when this pit window opens. It opens after lap 2. It closes on lap 23. So expect a lot of cars to come early. They don't want to gamble with the safety car. There's not as big a gain here in staying out on your first set of tyres as we've seen at other tracks, particularly Barbagallo. So it's going to be a real battle. Let's watch this restart on the Nintendo.
Lowndes on the inside got spun around, and Garth Tander went firing off on the other side. And you just take a look at Craig Baird there in the Team Brock. He decides the best way to go through is to go grass, and Cameron McConville follows him. So they got out of it without too much damage. Oh, Lowndes got caught on the inside chicane there. And
right up on the curb, wasn't he?
And that was Russell Ingall behind him as well. So
it's exactly what he said to the opener of the telecast. You get squeezed in there, it's like a funnel. And he's paid the price. Right to the back of the field for Lowndes.
It's terrible when your own predictions come true in that manner, isn't it?
Spooky.
So out the front, it remains car number 1 and car number 4, Holden versus Ford. Then we've got the Kmart Commodore coming through. 2 of the Kmart Commodores in the top 5. Rick Kelly, look out for him today, the youngster. This is one track where he doesn't have to spend his first couple of days practicing, because this is his home track, along with so many other teams. But Rick Kelly, in his debut season in the V8 Supercars, has been putting down some good practice times.
A panic call from Craig Lowndes came out over the radio a little earlier on saying, I've got smoke from my tyres, I've got smoke from my tyres. It seems that some of the bodywork is rubbing on the tyres. Not too sure as to whether he's got a problem, but the team says, we will hold you and then we will bring you in on lap 3.
Well, problems there for Craig Lowndes straight away. First turn of the first lap. Double O Motorsport team in trouble. This is a little bit further back in the pack. Paul Morris in front of our camera car there. This is the battle for the lead, though. Mark Skaife and Marcus Ambrose. It's been on all weekend. Fascinating qualifying battle. Here's Craig Lowndes. You can see he's gone right to the back of the pack there. Dougal McDougall behind in the Pepsi car. Wayne Wakefield, Mike Emery's Sabrec machine. What's Lowndes going to do now? Can they try and leapfrog the field?
Take a look at the panel damage just on the right-hand side of the 00 Motorsport Ford Falcon there.
Well, the pit window's open now, so expect a rash of pit stops here. I don't think anyone wants to throw the dice with the safety car too much. You don't want to get caught out because you cannot
there it is.
Pit under safety car conditions.
Gee, caught the fair old shunt, didn't you? I think Russell Ingall was involved in that problem there, and that's straight in the middle of the Ford sign.
There's discussion there with his...
Any faster than what I'm doing.
That's the trouble. You get caught up in that queue and you really can't move. He's had a problem early in the lap and he's gone right to the back of the field. And there's going to be cars peeling off this time around, I'm sure. We've heard from the pits that Stephen Richards will already be coming in. And Skaife's already gone in as well. You can see he's disappeared from the lead there. Ambrose takes over the lead. Todd Kelly in second. Jason Bright in third. Greg Murphy in fourth. And here they come. Long, long trundle down pit lane to reach their allocated pit bay. Pressure's on here. How quick can Holden Racing Team turn Skaife around? Here's the Valvoline boys with Garth Tander's car. Back to Skaife. Watch the Helix pit stop clock at the bottom of your screen.
Come right over.
8.4 seconds. We've regularly been doing them under 8, but they're still very tidy under such a pressure situation. So Skaife gets back into the battle. Ambrose has really got to make hay while the sun's shining here. Try and make up as much track position as he can before he comes in for his stop and try and beat the overlap. Ambrose, Kelly, Bright, Murphy, Bernard. Rick Kelly, Russell Ingall. Here comes Marcus Ambrose in the Pertec Falcon. And he's still leading this race.
Guys, you will not believe that Stephen Johnson is just exiting pit lane now. The car stalled on the exit of his pit stop. There was cars peeling off to try and avoid it, the likes of Team Brock and Paul Morris, just to try and get around Johnson's car. He finally got it going. Very near moment.
Oh, it just goes from bad to worse for these guys. It has been a shocker season. They were hoping they might have turned the corner. There's no shortage of horsepower on the DJR cars. It's just a chassis problem, quite clearly. Here comes Jason Bright. David Bernard's in. Murphy's come in as well. There's a lot of top cars now peeling off. There's going to be a big overlap here.
Brad Jones joins the queue, so does Neil Crompton. Mark Larkham comes in as well. John Faulkner, one of the better electrical cars, comes in. That's Tony Longhurst. We'll take a look at Bright's pit. Remember that Mark Skaife did it about 8.4 seconds. See what they can do with Bright. He's in and out, under 7 seconds, lightning fast.
That is red hot. Anyone who's doing it under 7 seconds in a race condition is doing an outstanding job. Plenty of the teams can do it under 7 in a garage training situation. Look at this, look at the overlap. Bright's come out just in front of Mark Skaife. So, real battle here. But Marcus Ambrose is doing the right thing. He's just on the fastest lap of the race, a 1:23.59. Very rapid race lap. So he's doing everything he can to open as much ground on these two before he comes in for his compulsory stop.
The synergy, guys, is the most incredible thing about the Holden Racing Team there. With both of those stops, they were just so in sync with the way they took the wheels off, put them back on. There was a sense of urgency, but a sense of calmness at the same time. Brilliant stops, and Bright had virtually let out the clutch before it hit the deck, so everyone working in unison there.
It's a brand new car that Jason Bright is sporting this weekend. They built a new one, HRT, and he's got it. His old one has gone further down the line at TWR to the Kmart Racing Team, which is Todd Kelly. So you're looking at a brand new Holden Racing Team Commodore. They had some problems with it when they wheeled it out the back of the truck here. Somehow, mysteriously, the rear window had just popped. Nothing had gone through it, it just popped. So even before they got it under the track, they had a little bit of a problem.
Good battle here. These are the first of the cars now that have made their compulsory stops. Bright is running 11th, Skaife's in 12th. Here comes the Holden Young Lions Commodore. Bit of a look underneath. May have been a complaint from young Rick Kelly. They make a quick inspection of the car, and he's back into action too. So the 3 Holden Racing Team Commodores have made their compulsory stops. But what we're watching for is the overlap when Marcus Ambrose comes in to make his compulsory stop. Look at this, a bit of a battle here. Bright goes down the inside, looks for a way inside. Todd Kelly, they're breathing on each other, the 3 TWR Commodores. Kelly's not going to give way. Bright ducks down the inside. Scaife goes with him.
And Scaife gets Kelly as well.
Or does he? Kelly fights back on the inside through the sweeper, takes the position back. So they may work under the same umbrella, but there's no race rules here. John Bowe has just set a new lap record, a 1:23.45, the fastest lap of the race from the Aussie male Falcon. So Bowe flying as well. Marcus Ambrose, Stephen Richards, a lot of the leading cars now have come in for their compulsory stops. Ambrose still leading this race. He's staying out there. This overlap is going to decide the winner of this race. We hear that Ambrose is coming in next lap, so the Stone Brothers team will be under enormous pressure. We saw them fumble at Oran Park when they were in a winning situation, and I'm sure they will be absolutely determined to get it right this time. So a fascinating contest here. Here's Ambrose, race leader on the Strathfield in-car camera.
Oh, Stephen Ellery stuck in the middle of nowhere.
Where's he there?
I don't know. I think he's going the wrong way. Now he's got it back in shape. He hadn't let Marcus Ambrose go past, so I think that's around turn 9 or turn 10, yeah.
Right turn, so saw Steve get in trouble there in practice yesterday. It's obviously a tricky part of the circuit. Here's car 4, the Pertec Ford.
Find out what happened to Stephen Ellery. That's the exact same spot he got into trouble in practice, and a little bit of a collision with Paul Morris.
They got helped around on that occasion. Let's watch Marcus Ambrose now. You can see the rich fuel mixture they're running in this car. Black plumes of smoke coming out the exhaust. Shows they're trying to get maximum horsepower out of this car as it comes into pit lane now.
This will be crucial. It's what cost them at Oran Park. There was no question that Marcus Ambrose had a rocket ship underneath him at Oran Park because he mowed his way through the field, but a simple problem in the compulsory pit stop. What will happen this time around? You can bet they're holding their breath at Stone Brothers Racing. Rusty's down there. We've got the clock set. The Shell Helix clock is ready to go. Grant Denyer.
Yeah, well, this is exactly where Marcus Ambrose was let down by his team at the previous round. This is absolutely pressure cooker situations for these guys. Well, he must be in around the 7-second vicinity. It's a clean stop and Marcus is away. We know he's good on good tyres, and on cold tyres, he's going to have to do something good if he's going to have a chance of maintaining that lead at least.
Watch for the
10 seconds now. The
HRT
HRT comes out.
One car's gone through.
Ooh, and I think the other one as well.
No, he's just got in front of Scaife. So he's come back in front of Scaife, and once these compulsory stops are done, these will effectively be the race leaders. Look at this battle. Ambrose is not going to give up that track position. He's going to fight hard on cold tyres. Keep in mind, Scaife's had a few laps. His tyres are up to temperature, so Ambrose has got to fight hard here with the car in less than ideal trim.
Todd Kelly's just done the fastest lap of 1:23.451. So Bright, Kelly, Scaife, and Ambrose are all caught up the front of the pack now.
So Jason Bright is the first car in the queue to have made his compulsory stop. Tony Longhurst still out there. I think he's going to be the last car. Let's have a look at the Nintendo replay.
It's Stephen Richards in car number 16 getting pushed wide. And taking a fair amount of dirt on his way back in as well. And this is Stevie Johnson, Wayne Wakefield and Paul Wheel having problems.
Oh, look at that. I think he's got a flat tyre. He does. A flat tyre. You can see the damage there. So he struck a puncture. That's going to slow them down in the pit stop as well. Paul Wheel driving with Stone Brothers the next time we see the V8s in action at the Queensland 500. So here's the order. Tony Longhurst is still leading this race, but Jason Bright, Todd Kelly, Marcus Ambrose and Mark Scaife. That'll be your top 4.
He's completed every one. Now, Brad Jones finished the first 17, but then got tangled up at Oran Park. And Todd Kelly had finished the first 14 races in a row, but then hasn't finished the last 3 out of 4. So quite an extraordinary little stat when you look through it to see that the better electrical Ford Falcon of Tony Longhurst, the only man to go the distance in all 18.
Doesn't have anything like enough of a lead on Jason Bright, though. When he comes in for his compulsory stop, he's only 14 seconds in front You've seen these compulsory stops by the time you trundle down pit lane to get out in the region of 40 seconds. So he needs a lot more ground between himself and Bright if he was going to maintain the race lead.
The Longhurst crew have radioed him. He's coming in on the next lap by the looks of things. The Better Electrical crew standing by. Very quickly, the Aussie Mail team have been on the radio to John Bowe, telling him to nurse his rear tyres. JB sounds as though he's a little concerned that they'll go the distance.
Yeah, it's not a track known for being tough on rubber. If there's something wrong with the setup and maybe you're working those rear tyres too hard, it can be murder around here. There's the top 4, top 5. Murphy's now climbed in contention as well. This will be the race leaders once Tony Longhurst peels off to make his compulsory stop. He's 14 seconds ahead of Jason Bright at the moment. Did we see a fantastic battle in qualifying between the two Holden Racing Team Commodores?
6 10,000ths of a second.
That was in provisional qualifying, which was the gap. I think HRT measured it out. It was the difference of 3.5 centimetres. Then when they went out for the top 10 shootout, it was down to 1 10,000th of a second, which measures out at 5 millimetres.
Which is,
there we are.
4/5 of nothing.
Yes. So you're going to say something else then. Tony Longhurst, the Better Electrical Ford, he's made his compulsory stop on lap 10.
10th in the championship series. And of course, the defending champion alongside Mark Scaife at Bathurst with the Enduros coming round. Here's car number 2, and the difference between Ambrose and Scaife, 3rd and 4th. You can see that Scaife was quicker over 2 of those last 5 laps. And if you're wondering what the 40-second gap was in lap number 7, or that 7th lap, that was the pit stop. That's the big difference there. So Ambrose and Scaife going hammer and tong in terms of pace, but in front of them, a good fight between Jason Bright and Todd Kelly.
Well, this is really going to put a test on the setup on the Stone Brothers Ford. Marcus Ambrose has always said that the way they have to set the car up to be as quick as the Commodores is a little bit more punishing on the rear tyres. They've been working very hard on that setup. So the race consistency of this Ford, very, very good at the moment. He's sitting right in there amongst a pack of very high quality Commodores. In fact, they're all TWR Australia Commodores. Jason Bright, Todd Kelly, Mark Scaife and Greg Murphy. And Ambrose here fighting a lone hand, but his lap time's very consistent at the moment. Very quick. Looks like everyone's now settling into a bit of a rhythm here. All the cars so evenly matched, not a lot of opportunities to pass. So now everyone's got to try and grind each other down. Great shots on board the Pertec Falcon here from Marcus Ambrose. The team did a good job getting him out back into a competitive position. And Ambrose now can fight for a race win.
You know, it's funny, guys, how we've often spoken about how dangerous it is for a car to stay out when everybody else is pitting, and that's exactly what helped Marcus Ambrose leapfrog Scaife in the pit stops. He elected to stay out, and in fact, his pit stop was slower, only marginally than Mark Scaife's. Scaife did an 8.1 pit stop. Ambrose was an 8.3, but just spending that extra few laps out there in clean air allowed him to really push on and go past Scaife. But interestingly, the fastest pit stop was indeed by Todd Kelly. That was a 7.3, about average these days.
Yeah, it's not surprising out of the Kmart team, Grant, because they've been
consistent,
but brilliantly consistent too. They've been under the 8-second mark almost every round, and that goes for both the cars, 15 and 51. So you can see why the Kmart Commodore team are up there. The V8 Supercar official website, v8supercar.com.au. A good one to find out some fast facts and figures as we head into the Enduros. Who's driving with who? And some good facts for Bathurst, of course, Mount Panorama. v8supercar.com.au. Check it out.
David Bernard a little bit further back in the pack. He's in 11th. Stephen Richards is in 12th. So Bernard continuing his consistency this season. He's certainly cleaned up his act. He was involved in an enormous number of accidents last year, but he really has kept that a very clean skin this year. Doesn't have the explosive qualifying speed of his teammate Marcus Ambrose. He's certainly doing a good job in terms of clawing his way into the championship, comfortably inside the top 10 on championship points.
And what about this car, car 21? You remember back at Oran Park, we had a lot of fun in the commentary booth with Brad Jones. He would much rather be racing. The car was smashed to pieces when they put it in the truck as they left Sydney. Jones actually thought that it would be touch and go to make this round. They've spent almost $50,000. It had 6 full days in the panel beaters, and they've worked 24/7 to get white lightning, they call it, back on the track. It's a remarkable job when you go down pit lane and have a nice close look at it. You wouldn't even know that just 3 weeks ago, that Aussie Male Falcon car 21 in front of David Bernard was a total wreck.
Quite incredible. It's amazing how quickly they can turn these cars around, not only repairing them, but building them in the first place.
I was about to say they seem to be settling into some sort of pattern here on lap 20 at 32, and then I saw Scaife and Ambrose go around one of the turns on 2 wheels, one after the other. There's Mark Scaife. Started from 2nd position in qualifying. Top 10 shootout. He made it up to 2nd. We'll take a look at the footwork of the defending series champion.
It's interesting stuff. Particularly with this spool rear axle, or the rear axle is fully locked, you have no differential action. It's really interesting to watch how late the drivers pick up the throttle, because if you get into the throttle too early, the car just wants to understeer off the road, so they're very, very late getting on the power, almost till the car's pointing straight, and then they give it full throttle.
It seems quite subtle from that picture, doesn't it? A little light tap of the feet, but when you're actually in the car, and if you're lucky enough to sit side by side with one of these guys in a hot lap, it is so violent. They are throwing these things around, they crunch through the gears, they hammer onto the brakes, everything is done at maximum power.
The way he's just feathering that throttle, feeding it on. 600 horsepower. There's over 600 newton meters of torque. These cars have got to put through the rear axle. They can light up those rear tyres so easily. The drivers who can juggle that amount of weight and that amount of power and make these rear tyres live are the real masters of this class.
Tell you what, too, one of the guys in the crowd has got a big banner saying, "Hope you don't win, Scaife," and it's become a bit of a running joke between Scaife and the punter out there. Apparently, every time they see each other now, that's exactly how they say g'day. "Hope you don't win, Scaife," and he says, "Yeah, righto." It's all in good humour, and I tell you what, the punter's only saying what the rest of the field's thinking, unfortunately for Mark Scaife.
Well, it really has been one of those extraordinary seasons where when drivers, particularly Craig Lowndes, we saw it at Canberra, there's been a number of occasions when other Commodore and Ford teams have been in very strong positions, potential race-winning positions, and things have gone wrong. It's been an extraordinary championship. A lot of these races have been handed to Mark Scaife.
Mark, just to update you there, you're talking about Craig Lowndes. He has been on the radio to his engineer, Oscar Fiorinotto. He's saying that he has developed an oversteer problem in right-hand corners and an understeer problem in left-hand corners. So obviously that accident at turn 1 at the beginning of the race is now starting to affect the balance of the 0-0 Motorsport Ford.
Oh, it's been a terrible race, hasn't it? Lowndes managed to get into the top 10, but he's really been complaining about the balance of the car all weekend. Just has not been right. And he's been working very hard on trying to get it working right. But that tangle at the first turn, it's just gone downhill from there.
26th position for the 0-0 Motorsport. Green-eyed monster. This time cleanly single file through turns 1 and 2, and they begin lap 22. So 10 to go in race 1. Don't forget another 32 lapper coming up a little later on. There's wife Nat. Expecting their first child too, Lowndsy. Lowndes Incorporated.
Lap times just settled down around the low to mid 1 minute 24s. 24.32 for Bright, 24.47 Kelly, 24.32 for Ambrose. It's pretty much the race pace. Lap record at 23.48. They did some very quick laps early in this one. Now they've consistently set down into this rhythm, and pretty much those top positions have remained static. Here's the race leader, Jason Bright. He's just opened up about 7/10 of a second over Todd Kelly. Kmart team doing a great job turning the youngster around so quickly, getting him back out there in contention. There's no way he was going to open the door to the Holden Racing team.
So he's made up 15 positions. He's determined to make DJR smile by the end of this round here at Winton. Oh no, Glenn Seaton trouble at turn 3. Backs it into the dirt. He'll get out of that.
We saw him dicing just toward the end of the top 20 there before we went to the break. And maybe the tyres getting a little bit look tired.
Well, look at this. Marcus Ambrose has taken over from Todd Kelly, so Ambrose goes up into second position.
Well, that's a surprise. They're all sitting down in a pretty static sort of queue. Follow the leader for a lot of laps, but now let's have a look on the replay.
Well, it all seemed pretty much straightforward. Bright goes through comfortably. Here's your trouble. Ambrose finds just a couple of inches to muscle through and gets a bit of paintwork from Kelly. Paul Romano's there, back marker, so Ambrose obviously had to get back around Romano, and Kelly slots back one position. So now the top three goes like this: Jason Bright, Marcus Ambrose and Todd Kelly. Mark Scaife is in fourth, Greg Murphy fifth, Garth Tander sixth, Rick Kelly's in seventh, John Bowes in eighth. There on your PlayStation 2 race score, and Russell Ingall in ninth position, and Brad Jones moved up 1 to 10.
Bit of opportunism there. He used it well. He could see the lap traffic coming up. Paul Romano, and he put the squeeze on Todd Kelly, forced his way through. Ended up a little bit of contact with the Kmart car. It was only a scratch on the rear bumper, and he's through. He's up to second now. Jason Bright, 3.6 seconds.
Bit of smoke coming out of the back of car number 15. Todd Kelly's got some problems.
Rear tyre rubbing as a result of that collision. We'll keep an eye on that. Quite often when we see a fender lean down on a tyre, it can often rub away and not be a problem after a few laps. That may not be the situation here. You can see where the wheel's been rubbing. Rusty?
Well, Mark Scaife's been on the radio to Jeff Grech and said, look, you know, what do you think? Is it going to get worse with the toddler there? They don't seem to think so. So I think, Mark, it could be staying this way until the end of the race.
So Ambrose is the fastest man on the track. Look at those comparisons of the last 5 lap times between Bright and Ambrose. Ambrose has been quicker on 3 of them. The green box denotes he's faster that lap. The red one, he's been slower that lap. There's only small amounts of time in it. That's critical, isn't it? 0.3 of a second, almost half a second on lap 27. So he's been really pushing very hard in the Pertec Ford, trying to close the gap to Bright. It's down to 2.9 seconds. It was 3.6 on the previous lap. The time running out for Marcus Ambrose, lap 30 of 32. You can see that Holden Racing Team Commodore in front of him. He's going to run out of time. 2.9 seconds the gap. It's under 3. We saw a similar situation at Oran Park in the previous round where Ambrose hunted down Mark Scaife, got within about a second and a half. And then Scaife was able to pull away again.
2 to go.
There should be no problems with Todd surviving this race. Just had a word to the team manager, Robbie Crawford, and look, the tyre's okay. It's not a major drama, but they're pretty certain that the whole situation arose just through trying to get round Paul Romano as lap traffic. So that's really unfortunate for Todd in what is Kelly country.
Sure is. 24.6 for Bright at 24.4 for Ambrose. He's taken another 2/10. 24.7 for Kelly. Scaife and everyone behind just did a 1:25. So these 3 cars at the front are still pushing very, very hard. We go to the cherry picker shot high above Winton Raceway. There's your race leader. Just coming out of Penrite turn. There's Marcus Ambrose in second. Weave through this incredibly tight section. It's all second gear stuff. Ambrose trying desperately to close the gap. If he finishes second, that means he'll start from the front row again for race 2.
And this will stop another consecutive run of race wins for Mark Scaife. He got 2 out of 2 at Oran Park. So he will start a little bit further back for race 2. Jason Bright looks comfortable enough to hold on to this one. Ambrose is still trying to peg him back, and he's certainly got the green boxes on the board to say that maybe if there was another couple of laps in it, he could probably get him.
See there, on lap 28.
Last lap, Marcus, last lap.
Was held up in that collision. The rest of the times have been very consistent. So sitting there in second now, 1.8 seconds the gap. And we've seen it so often this year. Ambrose getting within about a second of a Holden Racing Team Commodore, but never being able to take the challenge further than that. 1 lap remaining. There's Todd Kelly. He's settled back into third. Mark Scaife in fourth. Greg Murphy. So the 4 Commodores in the top 5, all TWR Australia entries. Rick Kelly in 7th.
John Bowe behind him in 8th, and Russell Ingall in 9th, and Brad Jones holding on to 10th position. Be a good result for BJR, 2 top 10 for their 2 entries in this one, Bow and Jones. Now, around the twisting part of this circuit, the gum tree on their left. They come around turn 9, Repco corner down Dunlop straight.
It's amazing when you think about it. You take the Holden Racing Team Commodores out of this. If you went through and looked at the race results, how many race wins Marcus Ambrose would have at the moment? It'd be looking a lot better than it is now for Ford.
Well, think about it. Mark Skaife has won 13 out of the 18 races, a 72% success rate. Maybe the second half of the season, Jason Bright is determined to put some numbers on. We certainly know that Marcus Ambrose is. Jason Bright's third race victory. Is the Holden Racing Team ready to break the bogey here at Winton? Bright collects 100 points. Ambrose in second position. Todd Kelly struggles across in third. Skaife finishes fourth. Then it's Greg Murphy, Garth Tander, Rick Kelly in seventh. John Bow will come across in eighth position. Russell Ingall and Brad Jones will make up the top 10. So another race win for Jason Bright, the only man to have beaten Mark Skaife overall this season. Skaife has got 6 out of 7 victories. Bright the winner at round 6 in Barbagallo, and another one so close.
ROMANO helped us out there.
He sure did. Saw an opportunity there to pass, and Paul Romano certainly helped him out on that situation, because the field was settling down into quite a rhythm there after the compulsory pit stops. Ambrose saw an opportunity, went for it, it paid off, got him up to second. That'll give him a good starting position for race 2.
Just tell us what happened there in your view.
Well, obviously we were lapping Paul Romano. He's gone into the corner. You know, I don't know where his eyes were as usual. And, you know, just ran me out wide. And then up into the next corner, he's hung me out to dry again. And he slowed me up that much that Marcus Ambrose come right in and speared me off the track as well. So it's a bit of a shame, because, you know, the car was hanging in well and it was actually getting better towards the end. And I was just, you know, pacing myself and ready to have a go at Jason.
You did well to hang on to it, mate. Will you take it any further at all?
Yeah, well, you know, with the car the way it is, if we start from the second row again, we should have half a chance of getting back up there. So, you know, the car's good enough to do it. Just, you know, missed out on a few points there.
Might be hearing some more about this incident. Thanks, mate.
Okay, let's go back to pit lane now. Second place in race 1, the Tassie Devil.
Well, Marcus Ambrose, what happened at the start?
Well, it wasn't so bad, but, you know, the car just crept as I was getting the clutch up to position, so I had to stop and then go, and I just didn't quite get the lights right. But it's okay, you know. We got into the pits and beat the leader at that time, which was Mark Skaife. So I don't know where the other two got their speed from in that pit area, or that pit zone. But, you know, happy with second place.
You were absolutely aggressive with the car. Was there much left in it? And how were the rear tyres at the end?
Yeah, no, rear's a shot. You know, we've been fighting that all year. In qualifying trim, we can make the car very aggressive to turn, and it's okay. But any more than 6 or 7 laps and the rear tyres just say, hey, I've had enough, I want out. And it's the same then today. We'll make some changes for the second race and try and minimise it.
Best of luck for the next one, mate.
Yeah, thank you. And Barry, come back, mate. It's not the same without you.